Why don't I date Russian women, even though I was born in Russia? People ask me this all the time. Now, the short answer, and I'll give you the long one in a second, is essentially I look at Russian women as snakes. Now, don't get me wrong, I love snakes. I absolutely love snakes. But if you know anything about snakes, the more beautiful the snake is, the more poisonous it is. Now, in nature, the beautiful red and yellow and green markings on a snake usually means that, hey, stay away from me or I will bite you and you might die. However, in the human world, unfortunately with Russian women, it works the other way around. It attracts a lot of men who don't know what kind of poison they're going to face, and they don't usually have an antidote. Now, I know this is generalization and a lot of it is based on my experiences. However, I still think this is something that I wanted to share with you guys, because I have lived in Russia, I have lived in America, and now I've lived for quite some time in Thailand, and I have attempted dating Russian women on all three continents. And I'm usually very sensitive to the stories when guys tell me what happened to them when they dated Russian women. So overall, I think, even though my opinion is just that, an opinion not really based on any hardcore data, I've got some interesting observations that you may at least think about. And by the way, when I say Russian women, I mean Russian-speaking women. That includes Belarusians, Ukrainians, and so forth. So you get it. Now, here's the actual breakdown on what I have noticed when I and many other men dated Russian women around the world. There are two qualities that Russian women a lot of times have that rarely found together in a woman. One, they're usually very smart. They usually have a college education because that's what most people in Russia have. But also, they're very entitled. And that kind of is based on, Russian culture. And they're entitled to men's time, effort, and money, specifically money, right? So when you put those two together, you have a perfect mix of poison that a lot of men don't usually expect. In my experience, almost every time, not all the time, there are still some good Russian women out there. I just haven't met them yet. I'm only 47, so give it some time. Every time, within about 10 minutes or so, I feel like they're trying to manipulate me one way or another. And when I see them talk to my friends, the same thing happens. If it's a first meeting, it's usually trying to figure out if they can get a drink out of me. They're always trying to kind of establish their dominance over someone who they just met and just speaking. Even though sometimes these women are married, it is just kind of in their blood. And if you're prepared for it, then your pretty much only way out is the way out. You kind of have to push back and never let them kind of establish this kind of never really let them put their heels on your throat, because otherwise, if you don't, that's what usually happens. And it happens all the time. And here, don't take my word for it. Just talk to any man who is divorced from a Russian woman. Now, when I say a man, it's really an empty shell of one, because that's what usually happens when Russian women get divorced. That's where you really see their true colors. And this is where you can refer to all of these men. But another quality of Russian women that I've noticed most of the time, and I just touched upon it just a second ago, is that they're not really good at criticism or any type of pushback. Most women, if you start pushing back on, them trying to take control of you, is to just disengage and leave, which is, by the way, a great way. I love when that happens, because I don't want those women in my life, and it's a great way to not. But with the Russian women, a lot of times, they don't let it go. Even if you're having a conversation, and as soon as they're trying to control the conversation, or you in particular, and you try to push back, boy, you can see those fangs come out real quick. Because unlike most other women, when Russian women are pissed, they don't do stupid shit as part of their emotional response. They do smart shit. Remember, educated, smart women? And when a pissed off Russian woman who is smart wants to inflict some damage on you, well, They really do. So yeah, Russian women essentially is like a communist party that raised them. If you're not a member, you're an enemy. Now, once again, I just want to say this one more time. This is based on my experience, though it has spanned over many years, decades, and continents. I just want to have you guys be aware of this. So next time you meet a Russian woman that you're interested in, just keep enough of your blood in your brain to keep all of this in mind. And just like I said, if you start feeling that you're being manipulated and kind of right away this girl wants to start controlling you, or a lot of times they do it very smartly, where by the time you realize that a lot of circles is already around you, and it's hard to breathe sometimes. But in my case, I don't really have this problem anymore. I have tried dating some Russian women once I got to Thailand, but I realized what pretty much essentially every passport bro realizes is that just don't date any Western women. For some weird reason, they don't adjust to the culture here, and even though they cannot compete with the local traditional women, they don't change. As a matter of fact, I don't know, I have not heard of any Western, forget about Russian, Western girl who came here to a traditional country like Thailand, single, and got wifed up by a foreigner or a Thai person. I just never heard of it. I know it happens, but the reality is that most of us just completely disengage and just don't even physically see them. And if you want to be in the same position that I am now and ditch modern women in America or whatever country you live in, go to themillionmanproject.com, where you can also take the same journey as I have and change your life.